Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared.
Everything that ends up leaving us dry. We need a voice, one voice that is amplified. Can you feel momentum shifting? Can you hear the sound? We were once someone missing, but we haven't found. It starts now.
A country music star has died. Merle Haggard. We remember him this morning. Play you some of his sound bites as well. And the campaign trail is heating up already in New York. We've got some great sound bites from Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders and Hillary. It's Thursday morning. This is the Jared Goodell Show.
They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country horse, you're walking on the fighting side of me.
Merle Haggard died yesterday on his 79th birthday. Were you a big fan of Merle Haggard?
I was. I like the guy. He's like a working man's country guy.
He died of complications from pneumonia. I guess this is the interesting part of this whole story is that he predicted that he would die yesterday. It was his birthday yesterday, as I mentioned. And I guess he told his son a week ago that he was going to die on his birthday. The son tweeted out yesterday, a week ago, Dad told us he was going to pass on his birthday, and he wasn't wrong. An hour ago, he took his last breath. That was what Ben Haggard posted yesterday on social media just after Merle passed away. That's interesting, predicting the day that he was going to die. Do you think that when you get to that point, when people are to the point, near death, that they have a choice of when they die? I mean, do you think that they make the decision, I'm done?
I don't think so, no.
You don't think so?
No. My wife's grandmother, she's coming up on 100 years old, and she's told me she's done. She just wants to go. Oh. That was like 2 years ago, and she's still hanging on, so. Yeah.
Do you think people? Do you think people can have the willpower to hang on when they're up against death? You think some people hang on?
I think the human will to survive exceeds everything else. Yeah. If you have something to live for, but if the quality of life is there, I think you'd have the will. But once again, my grandmother-in-law, I mean, she's pretty much blind. She can't play bridge anymore. She's still sharp as a tack, but she just said there's nothing for her to do. She just wants to go. She's just waiting.
Merle Haggard predicting the day that he would die yesterday. It was huge. Recorded more than 90 albums. That's a lot of albums. 90 albums. Had 112 songs on the country charts, including 71 top 10 hits.
We don't let our hair grow long and shaggy.
Okie from Muskogee.
Like the hippies out in San Francisco do. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee. A place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave Old Glory down at the courthouse. And white lightning still the biggest thrill of all.
I guess he got cancer back in 2008, Merle Haggard. But he kept touring. He had a lung removed. because he had cancer. He had a lung removed, and he kept touring. Imagine singing, doing a show with one lung.
Man.
He kept touring until his family had to force him to stop. That's an artist right there.
Yeah, he was hardcore. I love Working Man Blues. I think that was my favorite Merle Haggard song.
Merle Haggard, rest in peace, passing away on his 79th birthday. An interesting story there for you. Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. This week is flying by. I love that.
I know, right?
There's a news story out this morning. The FBI. The FBI director yesterday, James Comey, was speaking at Kenyon College in Ohio, and he finally revealed how the FBI broke into the San Bernardino iPhone. They say that the government, the FBI, they bought an application from essentially a hacker. They purchased this, they're calling it a tool that enabled investigators to access the Saeed Farouk's iPhone. You believe this? Do you believe this story?
That they bought it from a third-party hacker?
Yeah.
I think they were already into it. No, I don't believe it.
James Comey, the FBI director, said the people that we bought this application from, we know a fair amount about them, and we have a high degree of confidence that they are good at protecting this application, and their motivations align with ours. Comey said that the technology that they use to break into this phone only will work on the iPhone 5C. So this won't work on your iPhone 6 or your iPhone 4 or your iPhone 5. It'll only work on the iPhone 5C. Allegedly.
There you go. That's
allegedly.
Right. Yeah. So you're still safe. You're still safe.
Allegedly. Took the FBI 26 minutes to break into the iPhone. They haven't yet said if they found anything, important on the iPhone. It's interesting stuff. Yeah. Campaign trails heating up out in New York. Presidential politics. Did you see that Ted Cruz coming off his big win in Wisconsin, that he was struggling to draw a crowd yesterday?
No.
I guess Cruz went to the Bronx and he struggled to draw 100 people. And some of those people were protesters. Yeah. And of course, Trump called him out. Trump being from New York himself, Trump called, Cruz out and mentioned the fact that he could only draw or couldn't even draw 100 people.
Lion Ted Cruz came today. He couldn't draw 100 people. Do you remember during the debate when he started lecturing me on New York values like we're no good? And I started talking to him about the World Trade Center, the bravery.
Ted Cruz. I thought he was the guy who was going to win. I thought the media had pegged him as the front runner yesterday. Now he can't draw 100 people at a rally in the Bronx. How many people live in New York? Isn't there like
couple hundred maybe?
Isn't there like 8 million people in New York? 1.5 million people in the Bronx? Ted can't even get 100?
When the protesters outnumber your supporters? That's funny.
Here's one of the protesters.
It's an immigrant community, Ted Cruz. It's an immigrant community. It's an immigrant community. If you're anti-immigrant, you're not welcome here. We're at the forefront of climate change, Ted Cruz. We're at the forefront of climate change here. People are dying. People are dying, Ted Cruz.
What does that mean? We're at the forefront of climate change.
I heard that. I'm not sure what he meant.
Smog.
Smog.
Is he saying that we're at the forefront of causing climate change, or we're at the forefront of fighting climate change? I think the protesters, you need to try to be a little more clear when you're protesting, please, so that we can understand what you're saying. Cruz was at a Chinese Dominican restaurant that he went to. Couldn't get 100 people. I guess he had 70 people there. Ted Cruz.
Oh.
Yeah, the whole New York values comment. I mean, New York's an important state. Did Cruz not think that maybe he didn't think that he was going to make it to this late in the game? He wouldn't have to deal with New Yorkers. Now the New York values comment it's
got a bit of a sting.
It's coming around to bite him. There's just something about. I mean, I like most of Ted Cruz's politics, but there's just something about the guy when you look at him. I don't know, the slick back look, the way he talks. There's just something about Ted Cruz that I don't like. Just something about him. And if you actually look at him and his wife, Ted and his wife, and I hate to attack people on their looks, but they almost look like they could be brothers and sisters. Ted Cruz and his wife Heidi. No, I'm not saying that to be rude, but they resemble each other quite a bit. Heidi and Ted. Hillary and Bernie are in New York now, too.
Hillary. Bernie
says that Hillary's not eligible to run for president. Not because people died in Benghazi, but because of her campaign donors.
Been saying lately that she thinks that I am, quote unquote, not qualified to be president. I don't think that you are qualified if you get $15 million from Wall Street through your super PAC.
No, Bernie, that means you are qualified. That's what that means. When you get millions and millions and millions of dollars from Goldman Sachs, that means you are qualified. That's why they get the money. That's why she's gotten the money. This is fun stuff. I was starting to think that the presidential politics, the drama of presidential politics was dying down. I think it's just getting started. But with Bernie on Hillary's coattails.
I love it.
And I think that race is going to heat up, and those two are going to really start sparring. And with Trump within reach of officially securing the nomination, but needing to win 65% of the remaining delegates, I think that he's going to turn up the heat a little bit. Ted Cruz is going to turn up the heat. John Kasich, I mean, he's still back in Wisconsin. He's trying to figure out what state's next, but don't expect much from him. Anyways, he's just a confused old guy. Hey, we got more coming up on the Jared Goodell Show. We're going to turn up the heat here after the break. The guy, we're going to call him the affluenza teen of New Hampshire, Owen Labrie. He was the 18-year-old boy, or he's 20 now, who was convicted of not raping, but sexually assaulting a girl, a 15-year-old at St. Paul's. He is now asking for a retrial. Wait till you hear why he's asking for a retrial. Apparently, after 2 weeks in jail, he's had enough. We'll get to that story after the break. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
The board is clear.
Next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next.
My cuts like a knife. Yeah, when it feels so right.
The life of being rich. I wish I was rich. I wish I had lots of money. When you have money, like Hillary Clinton, like the Clintons do, you can buy your way out of trouble. Owen Labrie, he was the kid at St. Paul's who was accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old student. He was 18 years old. She was 15. They were playing this game. What was it called? Senior Salute up at St. Paul's, where, as a senior guy, your goal is to sleep with as many girls as you can before graduation day. And I guess the senior guys, on graduation day, they say, all right, how many tally marks do you have? How many tallywhacker marks do you have? And then I mean, whoever got the most girls, they win. And I don't know, they win the senior salute game, and that's the end of it. Owen Labrie, he's from Tunbridge, Vermont. He was convicted of felony sexual assault, endangering the welfare of a child, and prohibited use of a computer. He was acquitted of the felonious sexual assault charges. Now, Owen Labrie has been in the news lately. A couple weeks ago, he reportedly violated his bail. He was out on bail awaiting sentencing. He was going to appeal the charge and all that. And he got the sentence was 1 year in jail, but it was suspended. So he was out on bail. But he had to be home by 8 o'clock at night, and he was down in Boston a couple times. He didn't make it home in time. So a judge revoked his bail back in mid-March. March 18th, Judge Larry Smuckler revoked Owen Labrie's bail. So now Owen Labrie's been in jail for a few weeks, and I guess things aren't going well. I guess he's not liking jail.
That's not fair.
I wonder if they've made attempts on his life in jail with mashed potatoes. You have to wonder. So Owen Labrie, who by the way is a wealthy individual. I mean, he was going to St. Paul's. He lives with mom and dad up in Turnbridge, Vermont. Very wealthy kid. And again, with money, you can buy the best lawyers. A la the Clintons. Owen Labrie had J.W. Carney as his attorney during this trial. Does the name J.W. Carney ring a bell at all? Does it ring a bell?
Yeah, who was he a lawyer for?
He was the lawyer for Whitey Bulger.
That's
down
right.
in Boston.
Yes.
J.W. Carney. The best of the best. You can't get any better than J.W. Carney. Owen Labrie is now arguing that he had ineffective counsel, that his lawyers were ineffective, and he should get a new trial because they were ineffective. He had the best attorneys. He had the best of the best.
Throw more money at it.
He's grasping at straws when he's in jail for 2 weeks and he's got to cite ineffective counsel when he had the best lawyer money can buy.
Was he on a bracelet, the ankle bracelet thing?
No, I don't think he was. No, he wasn't on a tracker. No, what did him in is, again, he was...
Social media, probably.
No. He was down in Boston. I guess meeting with a school, or I don't know. He's trying to get into Harvard or something. Or no, he was meeting his girlfriend down in Boston, and I guess he was riding the train back, and there was a reporter on the train, and the reporter recognized Owen, just started talking with him, and he was, I guess he was worried. He shared with the reporter that he was worried that he had, passed his curfew. And so the reporter wrote a story about meeting Owen Labrie on the train, and that he was worried that he, had missed his curfew because the train was delayed. And somebody in law enforcement saw the story and checked in on Owen Labrie and found out that he had violated his curfew 8 times recently.
Looking good.
Affluenza.
That's what it is.
He's suffering from affluenza. Well, he didn't have affluenza until he went to jail. And then they poisoned his potatoes with the affluenza gene, and then here we go.
Right. 2 weeks to manifest itself.
Do you think he's been sexually assaulted in jail at all?
I don't know,
I hear that.
So he's trying to get into Harvard, huh? How does his resume look,
He doesn't need a resume, and he's got money again. I mean, you don't when you have money, education doesn't matter. What you do doesn't matter.
Yes, it does, Jared.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have a penny, but I'm richer than my wildest dreams. I got a family, I got a home, I got my health.
Yeah, well, again,
I'm rich.
If you have money, you can skirt the law. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, rich man go to court, poor man goes to jail.
Owen Labrie, rumor has it he's going to run for president in a few years. As a criminal. Because it seems to be working. It seems to be successful, Hey, speaking of criminals, you see this? This is a grim story, wicked grim story. I wanted to get to this yesterday, but it's better to get to it today because the guy is dead. Pablo Lucio Vasquez. Any idea what his heritage might be?
Latino?
He was put to death yesterday down in Texas.
Yeah, they'll do that.
He'd been on death row for 18 years. He was convicted of killing a 12-year-old boy back in 1998.
Ugh.
You want to hear the story?
Not really.
Pablo is driving. He's driving his cousin and this 12-year-old boy, his 15-year-old cousin and the cousin's 12-year-old friend. And apparently, while driving, Vasquez says that he started hearing voices telling him to kill the young boy, the 12-year-old boy. So he pulled over. He hit the 12-year-old in the head with a pipe. Then he cut the boy's throat and lifted the kid's head and let the blood drip out of his neck into Vasquez's mouth.
Oh.
The guy was drinking this kid's blood.
Oh, jeez. Hang him.
Yeah, no, they gave him the lethal injection, so he's dead now. I wonder if he came here legally. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 13.
Mentioning earlier on this hour, I like Ted Cruz's politics, most of them. There's just something about his look, you know? Looks matter. People say, oh, well, looks don't matter. They matter. They matter. They matter a lot. I mentioned that, I don't know, there's just something about Ted that, I don't know if it's the greased back hair or the face, I don't know what it is. There's just something about him that I don't like. Emailer writes, and I had to laugh about your comments about Ted Cruz's looks. My wife said she could not vote for anyone that looks like a ventriloquist's dummy. I think she nailed it. I agree. I think that's a great ventriloquist's dummy. He does. That's exactly what he looks like. And honest to God, his wife, Heidi, very nice woman. They look like they could be brother and sister. I mean, they could go through the whole transsexual operation, I think, and be each other if they wanted to be. Very easily. And they look like each other.
Is that a text or an email?
That's an email.
Nice.
Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning, April 7th. Did you see these religious freedom laws that are coming into effect now in a lot of states? Well, some states are vetoing the religious freedom laws. Others are passing them, governors signing them in. In fact, this week, you had two states, Mississippi and North Carolina, that their governors signed the religious freedom bills in each of those states, which will now make it legal for a business to deny service to homosexuals based on their religious beliefs. So remember the case, was it in Oregon or Colorado? Somewhere out west, there was a bakery who denied a gay couple service. They said, we're not comfortable making a wedding for your, a cake for your wedding because we don't believe in gay marriage.
Right.
It's not something we believe in.
That was the catalyst for the whole thing, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
And so they denied the gay couple service and they were sued. I mean, they were sued by the couple for pain and suffering, and then the state also fined them something like $110,000 for discrimination.
Crushing for a small business.
Yeah, it ruined their business.
Yeah.
What was it? The pizza shop? There was a pizza shop in Indiana who, a reporter went in and said, "Hey, if a gay couple came in here, would you cater their wedding?" First of all, who the hell gets their wedding catered by a pizza shop? Second of all, the pizza shop owner said, "Well, if somebody came here, a gay couple came here and asked us to cater their wedding with pizza, we would have to decline because we're Christians and we don't believe in gay marriage.
And we don't cater.
And we don't cater." So, and that business, that story went viral, and that pizza shop literally had to shut down because they were getting death threats.
Yeah.
And there was a big GoFundMe page to raise money for them, and that raised a ton of money for these people. I think they'd end up shutting their business down. So there's the whole question of, in America, where you have freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, but freedom of religion. Should your business be fined for refusing to do business with somebody?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you own a business and ISIS militants come in and say, "Hey, we want you to sell us guns, or we want you to sell us ammunition," don't you want the right to say no to them? If you own a restaurant and somebody comes into your restaurant and is spewing racist remarks, don't you want the right to say, "Get out of my restaurant"? I don't want a racist here. Yeah, of course you do. It's your business. It's the business that your parents started, or it's the business that you started to work at 100 hours a week. You should have the right to say, "This is my business, and this is who I don't want to do business with." And there's some states who are passing bills to guarantee that right to business owners. Mississippi, North Carolina is doing it. There's several states, South Carolina's Georgia with it. So they're saying, we discriminate against you're discriminating against get who I wanted to get on the air to talk about this morning. Arnie Arneson. I wanted to get Arnie Arneson's take on this.
There you go.
Because I'm sure that her and I are on opposing views on these religious freedom bills that have been passed now in Mississippi and North Carolina. Look, I don't care if you're gay. Do whatever you want in your personal life, but you need to give freedom to everybody. You need to guarantee everybody's right to do what they please and believe in what they believe in. Arnie Arneson, good morning to you.
So, Jared, the title of the bill is Protecting Freedom of Conscience from Government Discrimination Act. And it's actually more than gays. Because if you have religious values that say, I don't believe in divorce, I don't believe in sex outside of marriage, if I don't believe in, those people can be discriminated against as well, Jared. Because this is called religious freedom. So it's whatever is in your religious head that you decided that you've been told you should hate, you should not treat, you should not respect, you should not open your doors to. Those people, and so it's more than just gays, everyone. So get online, because if it turns out as someone who doesn't believe in divorce, that's about half the population. Okay, it is much broader than that, and the problem is that it's easy to talk about the gay issue because it's not uncommon, sadly, when you create a name like this that sounds so positive and so respecting, but actually, it's, as someone described it, it's a fake name for a fake problem, because what you do is you use religion to justify mistreatment.
Well,
that's what this is. They're using religion as the fig leaf, and here's what I want to know. I want to know in Mississippi whether you decide I don't like gays, but I'm going to put all the gay people in this corner of the restaurant, and while I will let them come into my restaurant, you will know that that is the gay corner because I don't want to treat them. So I'll get one of my non-religious people to. I mean, think about what they can do here. This almost feels a little bit like Germany.
Well, Arnie,
we want to just put a Star of David on them.
That's not a fair statement, Arnie. This bill would allow businesses to refuse service. I don't think that it would allow businesses to segregate.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't know. Here's my question.
Know.
Could refusal? No, listen to me. Could refusal? And let me just say something. This is more than gays. Because if you don't believe in sex outside of marriage, you don't have to then treat a patient who happens to be a 14-year-old who had sex. Well, that's against my faith. I mean, think about this. This is a much broader thing. And I was saying this to Ian. So everyone, I'm going to publicly disclose this, and it won't shock you because probably a lot of women will relate to this. I was pregnant when I got married. And I remember going to my doctor. This doctor that I ended up, I fired him. He didn't fire me. But he probably was telling me to be fired because it was kind of what's called a constructive firing. I walked in with the man who I eventually married. And he was an attorney, and he had to go to court. This was for our first examination. As soon as my husband left the room, Ian, he turned around and basically called me a whore and asked me why I was bringing a bastard into the world. This is what the doctor did. Wait a minute. But here's why it's even more classic, everyone. Notice he waited till my soon-to-be spouse left the room.
Right.
He didn't say it with the guy. Remember, it took two to tango here. This was not parthenogenesis. This wasn't asexual reproduction. This was about the two of us.
Well, all right.
So, and I'm just saying but the problem is he was, in a way, he couldn't tell me I don't want to treat you. But guess what he did? By calling me a whore and suggesting I was bringing a bastard in the world, he was basically telling me, don't be my patient.
So Arnie, there's been several cases now that we've seen across the country, and there's a new case that just popped up where a business owner will have a gay couple come into their business, and the couple will say, hey, we're getting married. We'd like you to cater our wedding, or we'd like to use your bed and breakfast for our wedding. Mm-hmm. And the business owner says, I'm sorry, it's against my religious beliefs, so I can't in good conscience provide that service to your gay marriage, to your gay wedding. And then the business gets fined from the state, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it bankrupts the business. Why shouldn't a private business be allowed to do business with whom and whom they don't want to do business with?
Because it's called this. If I did that to a black, you would call it Jim Crow. If I did that to a Jew, you would call me anti-Semitic.
Well, but
Arnie, no.
But
there are
wait
a
a
lot
minute.
of things. Now let's remember, this is about discrimination. No one is saying to this couple that's catering the wedding, you have to perform the wedding. No one is. All they're saying is put out the food.
What religion, Arnie, is against African Americans?
Oh. There was. We didn't allow blacks and whites to get married.
But was that a religion?
You know what? Go visit the Mormons. Go visit the Mormons and see how the Mormons have changed. Go visit the Mormons.
But right now, what religion is against African Americans?
Right now.
Okay.
Because the reason why it's different right now is because we have forced society to begin to understand that acceptance is something we need to do, and that discrimination is not an American value.
But is it fair, Arnie, to compare being gay and being black? I mean, being black or being a Latino is genetic.
No, look, Jerry, I'll give you one quick statistic. What is the country that discriminated against blacks more than any other? South Africa. When South Africa wrote its constitution and abandoned apartheid as the law of the land, okay? When they wrote their new constitution, it was the first constitution in the world to ban discrimination in all forms, including sexual preference. And now remember, think about it. They were discriminated against because of color. But when blacks and whites rewrote their constitution, they banned discrimination in all forms, including whether you're gay.
Let me ask you this, Arnie.
They understood it's a slippery slope.
We're talking about these religious freedom bills that have been signed into law in Mississippi and in North Carolina. It allows for private businesses to refuse service to gay couples based on their religious beliefs.
And also the government.
Right, the government as well. A government official, for instance,
right, the government can discriminate now, too. You're defending privates. Now defend the government discriminating.
Well, it's not the government. It's a government official wouldn't need to, let's say, sign a marriage certificate.
Sorry, I don't deal with the government. I deal with an official.
Let me ask you this, Arnie. If you own a small business up in Concord where you live, and let's say that you're a T-shirt shop, and the Westboro Baptist Church comes into your T-shirt shop, and they want you to print a bunch of T-shirts that say "God hates gays," and you don't want to print those T-shirts because you don't believe that God hates gays, and you don't want to be a part of perpetuating their hate.
I'll charge them a lot.
Should the government force you?
I'll charge them a lot.
But isn't that a form of discrimination?
That's $1,000 a T-shirt, Westboro Church.
But isn't that a form of discrimination, Arnie? Because if I'm a gay person and I walk into a cupcake shop and say, give me cupcakes for my wedding, and they say, well, I can't say no, but I can charge them $1,000 a cupcake.
No,
Arnie, you would probably say that that's discrimination.
Look, I believe in freedom of speech, even for Westboro.
So you would print the T-shirts?
You know what? It's like the Nazis marching in Skokie.
Arnie, would you print the T-shirts?
It's like the Nazis marching in Skokie. You know what you do? You let the Nazis march, and then you have your counter march. You hold up your sign that says, "I disagree with you, but I give you your right to be wrong."
So, Arnie,
that's what America's about. America allows people to be wrong.
All right.
The problem right here with the discrimination is they get to make their decision based on the religious head at the moment, what it is they're going to do. And if you are going to open a business and you have to get a license for your business, or you pay taxes for your business, or you are regulated, then guess what? Then the world is your oyster, and you have to accept the world coming through your door.
So would you print the T-shirts for the Westboro Baptist Church? You would do it?
I would. Just the way I would let the Nazis march in Skokie.
All right.
You know what? These are things I hate. But it's not about my hatred. It's about their right for freedom of expression.
Okay. Well, look, great for you for doing that. I wouldn't print the T-shirts.
I know.
I feel that a private business owner, a person who puts their blood, sweat, and tears into a business should not be forced to do something that goes against their beliefs. I mean, you're saying that this is discrimination.
Jared,
aren't
they can still have their beliefs.
But aren't you discriminating against
Jared,
them?
Look at this. What is their business? Is their business about making cupcakes or selling Christianity? Is their business about making a bed and giving you a place to sleep at night, or is it about their Christianity?
Well,
are they there to proselytize? Are they there to change me? Are they there to make me, some kind of a Christian, or are they there to sell me a bed at night to sleep in? What is their business? Is their business their religion? Then they're a church, and they're exempt.
Arnie,
if their business is not a religion, sorry.
Arnie, some people put their religion before money, and so I think a lot of people.
That's fine. Then don't go into business. Then go into the church. Then become a nun, become a priest, work as a minister, go work for the Catholic charities. Do whatever it is you want to do.
I hope you're there.
But if this is what you're going to do, you are a business.
30 seconds.
And this is what you do, and you are licensed to be this business, or you are operating a business. This is not about your faith. It's about selling the damn cupcake.
Arnie Arneson, always good to talk with you. Look, I'm not against gays. I wouldn't discriminate against gays, but I think that a private business owner should have the right to their religious their religious freedom. That's how I feel about it. Arnie, always good to talk with you. Arnie
5
Anderson
seconds.
up in Concord. We'll
Bye,
be talking
Arnie.
with Arnie again very soon. Do you think we'll have a religious freedom bill here in New Hampshire ever? You think that'll ever happen?
Jeez, I don't know.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. Hey, we'll take a quick break. I just had a story pop up here that title is "Pedophilia is a Sexual Orientation, like being straight or gay."
Ah.
We'll get to this after the break. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Board is clear.
WFEA.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.
PayPal, the online payment processor PayPal, they have nixed plans to build a office in North Carolina since the governor there signed this religious freedom bill that would allow businesses to deny giving service to gay couples. PayPal says that they don't want to work in a state. They don't want to have an office in a state that discriminates. But PayPal didn't have a problem with building an office in Malaysia, where being gay is punishable by lashings, where they kill you for being gay. PayPal didn't have a problem with that. Building an office in Malaysia. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? I came across the story while talking to Artie. It's on in The Independent. Pedophilia is a sexual orientation like being straight or gay. This is according to a psychologist. The psychologist said, I believe pedophiliac disorder is a sexual orientation with individuals that are attracted to child features. In other words, an individual with pedophilia has the same ingrained attraction that a heterosexual female may feel towards a male, or a homosexual feels towards their same gender. He says that it needs to be said that sexuality is more of a spectrum than a finite category. So, we can't arrest pedophiles anymore. It's just their sexual orientation.
Ugh.
All right? Hey, we're going to talk to the Uber granny from Portsmouth after the news break. You'll love this story. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and
Tired of the life that leaves us begging for more. We got our heads in a cloud, put our feet on the floor. We tend to trace everything that ends up leaving us dry. We need a voice, one voice that is amplified. Can you feel momentum shifting? Can you hear the sound? We all want some more missing, but we haven't found. It starts now.
Wisconsin's over with the primary there. Now things are heating up in New York. What happened yesterday on the campaign trail? On both sides of the aisle, there's some real great stories to share this morning. Plus, the city of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, trying to shut down a 61-year-old Uber driver. We'll share that story with you this hour as well. It's Thursday morning. This is the Jared Goodell Show. That was a Ted Cruz rally in the Bronx yesterday. It sounds like it went well.
It was well received.
Yeah. The people of New York love Ted Cruz. That was in the Bronx yesterday. Actually, the people of New York might not like Ted Cruz. You know, because of those New York values.
I know, right?
They don't like Ted Cruz because of those New York values. Yesterday, Ted Cruz had a campaign stop in the Bronx. You know, coming off his big win in Wisconsin. You know? How many people do you think? Thousands? I mean, do they have to move venues like they do for Donald Trump?
Bicycle barriers.
Let me give you a hint. No. Ted Cruz had trouble getting 100 people to show up for his rally yesterday in the Bronx.
Ooh, shades of Marco Rubio.
By the way, I looked up the population of the Bronx. 1.4 million. He couldn't get 100 to come out for him. Not looking good. I think we should begin preparing the Ted Cruz funeral now, yes. Mr. Producer.
Yes, I think we should.
Screw what management says. We are doing a Ted Cruz funeral. We're in the planning stages now. Donald Trump, of course, called out Lion Ted. I don't know if I like that, Lion Ted. I don't know. It's not catchy enough. Trump yesterday held a rally in New York, and he had thousands of people, and you know he was taking a few hits on Ted Cruz for not being able to attract an audience. You think Ted Cruz is regretting his New York values comment?
Yes.
I mean, do you think that he thought that maybe he wouldn't be in the race at this point? You know, when New York came around so late in the game, well, I won't be in the race, so I'll say New York values, and nobody will remember it. That's the sucky thing about social media and the internet, right? Everything lives forever.
Lion Ted Cruz came today. He couldn't draw 100 people. Do you remember during the debate when he started lecturing me on New York values like we're no good? And I started talking to him about the World Trade Center, the bravery.
Yeah. Poor Ted. The media yesterday, they dedicated their entire shows to the fact that Cruz won in Wisconsin. I mean, you'd think the people of the Bronx would want to go out and see the guy that just won Wisconsin. Come on. Maybe he brought some cheese back with him. It wasn't so successful. Well, it's early in New York. They still got 2 weeks left. Maybe he can put a couple hundred people together before the primaries in New York State happen.
When do the primaries happen in New York?
It's 2 weeks away.
On Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Tuesday.
They're all on Tuesdays, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Why?
I don't know. No clue. I think we should prepare Ted Cruz's funeral, though. Seriously, let's get that planned up, okay?
Well, let me see.
Things between the Democrats are heating up, too, out in New York. We can't do this. We can't do this early. It's not over for him yet. You know what I mean? He has to be in an accident to be on life support and all that jazz. Okay, first before we can have a funeral for Ted Cruz. He's still got some time left.
But he's on life support.
He's not quite yet. Not on life support yet.
Okay.
Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. Things are also heating up on the Democrat side. I actually just found a great soundbite during the news break of We were talking yesterday, we're laughing yesterday at the fact that Hillary Clinton is really doing everything she can right now to emulate, to be like Bernie Sanders. I mean, she's literally lifting his campaign speeches and verbatim and reading them on the campaign trail. I mean, she's not reading them as Bernie Sanders, she's reading them as her own. This is what I want, this is what I believe in, this is how I feel. There was a great moment, you may remember this, back during one of the CNN debates when Bernie called out Hillary for copying his positions.
Just said is absolutely right. I think I said it many months before she said it, but thanks for copying a very good idea.
Now, the reason I bring up Hillary and Bernie, I think the Clinton campaign is actually beginning to be worried about Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they're really starting to get worried. I mean, she's lost the last 7 out of 8. Could you imagine if Donald Trump lost 2 out of 3? I mean, imagine 7 out of 8. I mean, Donald Trump lost 1 state yesterday, and they were writing the obituary to his campaign. I mean, could you imagine if Donald Trump lost 2 in a row? Never mind 7 in a row, like Hillary Clinton has. I think the Clinton campaign's getting nervous because they're beginning to attack Bernie Sanders now on his stance on guns, on his Second Amendment stance. Now, Bernie Sanders is from Vermont, and Vermont has some of the most lenient gun laws in the country.
Yes, they do. 18 years old, that's your concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't need a concealed carry permit in Vermont.
Oh, 18 years old.
So now and Bernie has been. He does have very lenient, gun positions. I mean, he's not like most liberals, who want to grab your guns. I mean, believe me, Bernie's not an NRA card-carrying member, but he's also not a Barack Obama who, would love to come into your home and grab your guns later on this afternoon.
Well, the crime in Vermont is through the roof, Jared.
So Hillary's now attacking Bernie on his gun stance. In fact, she said on the campaign trail, Bernie should apologize to the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook. That's what she said on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
So Bernie yesterday in New York campaigning, he was asked, do you agree with Hillary that you should be apologizing to the parents of the Sandy Hook victims? And he said, I think that Hillary, he said, no. So I don't, it's very sad what happened in Sandy Hook, but I think Hillary should be the one apologizing to the Middle East, to all the Iraqi families. Now, he didn't go this far, but he should have. Why doesn't she apologize to the mother of the Benghazi, one of the Benghazi victims? Why doesn't she apologize to all the victims, the families of the victims in Benghazi? Why doesn't she apologize to the women who her husband raped? You got to give it to Bernie. He is pretty quick on his feet.
And he stays pretty calm, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, Hillary.
They're getting nervous.
It's her time.
And here's the thing is, we're coming on here, we're trashing Hillary. I mean, Jared Goodell, myself, being conservative. I'm trashing Hillary. I'm rooting on Bernie Sanders. I'm rooting on a socialist.
I knew you would. I knew you would, Jared.
I'm rooting on a socialist. What the hell am I doing?
You've been hanging around with me too long.
Oh, my God. Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. Hey, we got a packed up 7 o'clock show coming up. It's just getting started. We're like a diesel engine just warming up on this chilly Thursday morning. Here's what we got. Right after this break, we're going to have Stephanie France on. She's from Portsmouth. She is a 61-year-old grandmother who's driving for Uber out in Portsmouth. And, they've been ticketing her for doing that because she's not, allegedly, she's not properly licensed to drive for Uber. She'll join us on the air in just a few minutes to talk about the fines that she's been getting. I think she got pulled over like 2 or 3 times this past weekend for driving for Uber. Yeah, we'll get to this story. The government never likes private business.
No.
The government's not making money off Uber, so they got to shut them down. Right here in New Hampshire, we'll get to that story. Did you see the Mount Sunapee expansion was approved yesterday by the Executive Council? That happened. Scott Spradling will join us to talk about that. He was actually pro the Mount Sunapee expansion. He was working for Mount Sunapee to try to get this pushed through the Executive Council. He'll join us to talk about that at 7:35. Again, it's a packed-up show. It's the Jared Goodell Show. WFEA, good morning.
AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show.
I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, have you ever Ubered before? It's really a cool service. You get to drive around. Yeah, you don't have to drive around. Actually, somebody drives you around. It's the alternative to a taxi service. So you get the app on your cell phone, your smartphone. Download the Uber app, you create an account, put your credit card in, your debit card, whatever. And then when you want to get picked up, when you need to go somewhere, you just open up the Uber app and it knows your location and you tell it where you want to go and it sends a car to you. I mean, there's a person that comes and picks you up. You don't have to go out and hail a taxi. You get a nice car. You get to pick the level of service that you want. I use Uber a lot when I travel, and it's a great service. And there's Uber right here in New Hampshire, Uber up in Concord, Uber in Manchester, Uber out on the seacoast in Portsmouth. But like in many states here in New Hampshire, Uber drivers and Uber, the company itself, is facing some pushback from the government because, well, the government makes money off of, taxi drivers. Taxi drivers have to get a, commercial insurance. They have to get permits. They have to pay fees to the city or the municipality that they're operating in. There's all sorts of, ways that the government benefits from taxi services. Well, Uber is not a taxi service. It's a private for-hire car service. And the government doesn't like that. Many governments, whether it be a state government or municipalities, cities, towns, they don't like it. Else they're trying to shut it down or they're trying to regulate it. And that's happening in Portsmouth. There's a 64-year-old woman named Stephanie France. She's known as Uber Grandma. She's essentially nearly being harassed by the Portsmouth police. On Friday night, they gave her, not this past Friday, was it this past Friday night? It might have been a couple weeks ago. We'll ask her. They gave her 3 tickets in one night. Ouch. She's facing up to $6,500 in fines. This is crazy stuff. Uber Grandma herself, Stephanie France, joining us on the Jared Goodell Show this morning. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you?
Good morning, and it's different being up early. Instead of getting in late, getting up early just doesn't really jive, but I'm all right. I'm ready to go.
So tell us the story here. Was it a couple weeks ago now on a Friday night you were out, Ubering people around, and the Portsmouth police pulled you over on 3 separate occasions?
Actually, it was Friday night I got 2, and the next Saturday night I got 1.
Okay.
So, but those are the last ones that I've gotten. I had 4 other ones before then, and I've been pulled over 15 times in Portsmouth now.
Were they following her?
What's the deal? What? Tell us why the police are pulling you over. What are they ticketing you for?
Okay, they're not really ticketing it. They're summonses to go to court. I have a trial this month sometime. I don't know when it was. It was supposed to have been last month. Last September, I think it was September 17th, the city council in Portsmouth decided to enforce a rule that they had brought in when Uber first started coming in about a year before then. And I guess the commissioner, the police chief, who was the Manchester police chief at
David
one
Morrow.
time, decided to tell the officers to enforce the law. Nobody had been pulled over or anything like that. And then I received 2 warnings, and then a couple weeks after I got the warning, I was pulled over at like 1 o'clock in the morning right on Market Square. I had 2 women passengers, and they were, after we sat there for half an hour, they were made to get out of the car, and I was issued the first summons. I've received 7 summonses so far, and the first summons is for $500, and then they're $1,000 each after that. What Portsmouth is saying is that Uber does not do background checks well enough on their drivers. And I believe that that's not true, So,
and they want you to get commercial insurance too, right? They want you to get some crazy insurance policy.
Yes, they do, but Uber already has $1 million policy in effect.
What did she have to do for her background check?
You're asked to pick up a rider. It starts, and then when it stops when when you drop the rider off. There's no other need for any time other than that because you have your car insurance.
Right.
Oh, you're not under contract unless, well, you're actually not under contract at all. You're an independent contractor, but you're not driving for Uber until you get the call to pick up a rider.
Right. Stephanie France with us, the Uber grandma out in Portsmouth, who has been driving for Uber. And sometimes while she's driving for Uber, she gets pulled over by the police. She's been given, 7 tickets so far. You're facing up to $6,500 in fines. What's the background check that you went through to start driving for Uber? How hard was it?
You submitted all the information they requested. They asked you for your driving record. They asked you for your, excuse me, your, history of you. You give them your social number and everything like that. They do a background check that goes back 7 years. And, they do a national check. They check it from everywhere. I guess, that includes all the states and everything. And that's how I was checked. But I was also a school bus driver for. I drove for kids who had developmental challenges and everything like that. And I've been checked out by the state of New Hampshire. I've had my fingerprints taken. They did a background check. I'm randomly drug checked. I'm CPR certified. So I think I'm an all right driver.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, but you could go register with the Portsmouth the City Hall, and you could get this commercial insurance policy, and you could get fingerprinted or get a background check through the city, and then you would be legal to drive for Uber. Is that right?
That is correct.
And why not just do that?
Because several reasons. Again, this is a rideshare program. I'm not a taxi cab. People just want to pay me to drive them to certain places. I know it sounds close, but I'm not a full-time taxi cab. I'm just a part-time, grandmother trying to, make some extra money in retirement.
Real quick, Stephanie, what is it like? The times that you've been pulled over, you've had riders in the back. What happens when you've got passengers in your car and the blue lights come on? I mean, what is the reaction from your passengers?
Oh, they want to tell them that they're my grandkids. Did they pull her over
because she was speeding, or did they just pick her out?
They want to tell them different things, and I don't let them do that because there's no sense to lie.
You got 1 minute.
Right.
The cops already know about me. They want to support me. They want to do anything that they can to support me. But I do want to say that the police that pulled me over are extremely courteous to me. They've been very, very polite. It's not the policemen themselves.
Right.
It's the people who are telling them to do this.
It's the city.
To pull me over.
We got to set you up a GoFundMe page to pay for those $6,500 in fines, Uber grandma. Hey, you keep Ubering, all right? Fight the man.
I will.
Thanks for coming on this morning. Uber grandma there from Portsmouth, Stephanie France. Hey, we've got Scott Spradling set to join us after the break to talk about the Mount Sunapee expansion. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Continues next. Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com.
Think about what you say if we're going to replay this. 5-second sound audio stream. Wheels up.
Now, see, that's a GoFundMe that I would give to the Uber grandma there. I mean, if she does have to pay the $6,500 in fines, I would give to her GoFundMe page.
Jeez, I wonder if they were following her around, waiting for her to pick somebody up.
Yeah.
I'd give her a couple of bucks for that, too.
No. The man trying to shut Uber down. Come on. She's a 64-year-old woman. What would you do, though? I mean, if you're sitting in the back of an Uber car, if you're sitting in the back of a taxi and the blue lights come on,
what do you do?
What was that TV show for a while? The taxi cab show.
Taxi.
Was it called Taxi?
Yeah, it was like in the 70s or 80s.
You'd be wondering. No, this was a recent thing. A reality. It was like a game show.
Cash Cab.
Cash Cab. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, are you thinking this is this a hidden camera thing? Are Uber grandmas getting pulled over? What's going on? Stephanie France just joined us on the air. She's the Uber grandma in Portsmouth that, apparently she's illegally driving for Uber, according to the city of Portsmouth. They say that she needs to go to City Hall and basically
pay the money.
Exactly, and become a taxi driver. It's essentially what they're asking for her to do. So we'll keep an eye on that story. She got 2 tickets in one night. It's interesting stuff. We'll keep following that story. And by the way, this isn't just something that's happening in Portsmouth, but up in Maine, up in Portland, the city has been fighting Uber there. Lots of municipalities in the United States have been fighting Uber because, again, the government's not making as much money as they used to be.
They must have singled her out and followed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if she was some punk 25-year-old, it'd be one thing, but she's a 64-year-old grandma. Come on.
And is a career driver.
Right.
Yeah.
Let her go. Let her go. And the cops have, I understand that the police have a job to enforce the law, but let's be honest. How many times have I passed cops speeding and they don't pull me over? The cops could look the other way if they wanted to. If they really wanted to.
You are the punk.
Right. See, that's why I get pulled over, because I'm the punk. Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. Hey, a big story yesterday. The Executive Council up in Concord voted to approve the Mount Sunapee expansion project. This is a project that has been debated now for several years. Some people might remember this very same debate happening many, many years ago when Mount Sunapee, the ski resort, first became a thing. Mount Sunapee is actually owned by the state property, and the leaseholders of the Mount Sunapee ski resort, they want to expand. They want to add some new trails. They want to build a new lodge. They want to add a new chairlift. But there's some people who say that they shouldn't be allowed to do that, that they shouldn't be allowed to expand on the Mount Sunapee property, that they shouldn't be allowed to profit off of state property. It's a whole big issue. Yesterday, the issue was really, I guess, put to rest when the Executive Council voted to approve the expansion. Now, there could be lawsuits that come of this. There's still some local approvals that need to be made, but the surrounding towns around Mount Sunapee, they're all supportive of this expansion project. Scott Spradling, the former political director at WMUR, he normally joins us to talk about politics, but Scott has been working on this project, the Mount Sunapee expansion project. And Scott, we want to have full disclosure and let people know that you were working on the pro side of this. So really quick, explain, just for full disclosure, what your involvement in the Mount Sunapee expansion project has been.
Sure, and thank you, Jared. And you're right. Usually when we're talking, I'm on the sideline as a neutral reporter. This time I've been in the game and playing it for the last couple of years. And yes, I've been working with Mount Sunapee and specifically with the businesses and community leaders in the towns in the Sunapee region with a grassroots group effort called Citizens for Mount Sunapee's Future. And we were essentially monitoring all of this, working alongside and with Mount Sunapee and trying to make sure that the locals' voice is heard in support of this project. So I've been someone who's been in the trenches on this one for the last about 24 months or so.
All right, we'll get the full disclosure out of the way there.
That's right.
So Scott is pro Mount Sunapee expansion. He's been working to try to get this passed. So Scott, real quick here, tell us about Mount Sunapee. It's state property, but there's a private entity that has a lease with the state to operate a ski resort on Mount Sunapee. Is that right?
That is exactly right. It is a state park, and the ski resort that's been there for many decades is also owned by the state. Back in the 90s, state operation wasn't so hot, and lawmakers decided almost 20 years ago to lease out the ski resort to people that do the job and know how to run a resort. Instead of state officials, you bring in the experts, and basically the operation was turned around, and nobody disputes this. They went from an operation running deep in the red to running in the black. And for the last probably 15 years or so, the leaseholders of the mountain, pointing to the original lease, saying, look, we'll take over the operations, but we also have some plans to add some enhancements, add some trails, and do some things. It's been in the lease arrangement conversations about expansion since day one, but all of that requires public approval and the Executive Council approval. Former Governor John Lynch opposed the idea, but this time around, as the process came up again, because they review it by law every 5 years, this time around, under Maggie Hassan, she supported the plan, and yesterday the Executive Council voted 3-1 to endorse that plan.
And the plan is to add 4 new ski trails, a new ski lift, and a new lodge. And those who oppose this plan, they say that, I mean, they don't like the Mount Sunapee deal, period. They think that it's wrong that a private entity is profiting off of state property.
Yes. Now, look, you're talking to someone on the pro side. So from my perspective, I believe that opponents have been arguing this point on an issue that has long since been decided, that lawmakers decided to do this lease arrangement and allow someone to make money while also generating revenue and making profits for the state of New Hampshire. Some of this money actually goes to supporting Cannon Mountain, which is the other state-owned ski area. So there are revenues that are generated at one place that support both facilities. And again, over the last 18 to 20 years of operation by the leaseholders, you're not going to find anyone complaining about how it's been run, the dollars that have been generated, and the fact that they've been really good stewards of the property. And what I think has happened here is that with the help of, and I have nothing but praise for the Commissioner of the Department of Resources and Economic Development, Jeff Rose, he essentially listened to all sides of this thing, held a very open process, and came up with a compromise plan that essentially allows for the leaseholders to create these ski trails in the lift, a parking lot, and a small lodge at that area of the West Bowl, which, if you're staring at it, is to the right of the existing ski area. But in exchange, the leaseholders have to turn over all of the property rights on this tract of land over to the state. Everything becomes state-owned after that. And then on top of that, the mountain has to maintain the hiking trails that are in the area, and they're donating more than 400 acres at the peak of Mount Sunapee and around in the West Bowl that is privately owned. They're turning all of that over to state ownership for conservation and protection. So we believe that for a limited 50 to 70 acre development of these trails, we think that this is a very balanced plan that still reflects the mission of the state park and the ski resort.
Scott Sprouling on the Jared Goodell Show this morning. We're talking about the Mount Sunapee expansion that was approved by the Executive Council on a 3-1 vote on Wednesday. So, Scott, what is the deal with the leaseholders right now in the state? Is it a revenue share? Does the leaseholders pay a flat fee, an annual flat fee to use Mount Sunapee as a ski resort?
It's both. They do a revenue share and they have to pay an annual fee. And the operations of the resort, the costs of operating the resort are borne by the leaseholder. There are no costs that are associated with having to pay by the state, and they essentially are just getting a check every single year.
And what is
this
how much
is not
money?
An unusual arrangement. There are state-owned ski areas in different states that have a similar type of a deal. And again, it's been working very well for the last 18 years.
How much money has Mount Sunapee in past years in total been paying the state?
That's a good question. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know that we're into the millions of dollars of money that's been generated for the state of New Hampshire, but I don't know that total.
And that goes to the general fund?
It does, yes. And don't forget, there's also a portion that goes straight to Cannon Mountain as well.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the neighboring cities, neighboring towns that would be affected by this. I mean, you'd think when there's opposition that it's normally the residents of the local towns who would be affected by this, but all of these towns, a majority of the residents and the towns themselves seem to support this expansion of Mount Sunapee.
I agree. And look, don't get me wrong. There are certainly a number of locals who live in the towns surrounding Mount Sunapee and the ski resort and the state park who are opposed to it. There are people who live right next to it that are opposed to it. However, the selectmen in the towns that immediately cover the ski resort, which is Newberry, Newport, Goshen, Bradford, and Sunapee, the leadership in all 5 of those towns have separately voted to endorse this plan and support it. And then the grassroots group that I've been working with represents hundreds, thousands of people and business owners and visitors, quite frankly, who support the plan. So we believe that unlike the conversation that was held about this idea 15 years ago, now at this point, there is a shift in the overall opinion in the region that has become a lot more supportive. And I think that's entirely because of the relationship that's been developed over the last 18 years between the leaseholders and the operators and the people that live locally. And Jared, think of it this way. You come in, you get this deal, you start the operations, and things look good, but then within a couple of years you're talking about wanting to expand. Well, you know what? Granite Staters are very warm people, but they want to see what you're going to do first. The relationship hadn't developed enough enough, the trust factor wasn't there, that something like this could happen in a way that would not upset locals. So 15, 16 years ago, that idea was not acceptable. It was too new. It was too much too quickly. Now you have a track record. You have an 18-year track record of good operations and true relationships. I mean, the leaseholders are local residents. It's not like it's being operated by some China conglomerate. These are folks that are active in the community, and they're known. And I think that makes a difference.
Scott Spradling, the former political director at WMUR, normally joining us to talk about political things. Scott's been working on the pro side of getting this Mount Sunapee expansion put together. The Executive Council up in Concord yesterday voted 3-1 to approve the Mount Sunapee expansion. Scott, is there any chance that there could be any lawsuits filed that could stop this project?
The Friends of Mount Sunapee, which is a group that has long opposed this idea, has said that they plan to file suit. They were able to recruit the New Hampshire Sierra Club, which is a statewide political action committee that has gotten involved, and they remain opposed to this plan as well. So there were talks about a lawsuit, and really what they're saying is the legal argument is going to be that the state of New Hampshire has violated the terms of the lease from the very, very beginning in allowing something like this to happen, that the state does not have the power to do this. So when they file suit, it's not going to be against the ski resort. They're going to be suing the state of New Hampshire because the state has endorsed this and they own the property. So that is what the heart of the suit would be. And look, people do need to know that are watching this thing. There's a couple of years worth of engineering, of filling out the details, of getting the proper local and environmental permits that still have to go along with this. It's a couple of years before there's any shovels into the ground. And I presume that any legal action will be taken and decided during that window while the process is coming together.
All right, so it could be several more years before there's any new ski trails at Mount Sunapee. Scott, always good to talk with you. We'll check in later on. Of course, politics are heating up in New York. We've been playing sound bites all morning, so I'm sure we'll be talking to you again real soon. Scott Spradling, the former political director at WMUR, in this case working to try to get this Mount Sunapee expansion to happen, and it looks like it was a success. Hey, they say that they forecast that revenues at Mount Sunapee could go up between 20 and 25%, so that should mean, right, that if there's a revenue share between Mount Sunapee and the state, that the state would be receiving a significant amount of revenue in addition to what they're already receiving. And if that goes to the general fund and that decreases my taxes, I'm all for it. Make it happen.
But, you know, hopefully they'll get snow.
Right. Well, that's the key.
It was really tough this last season on ski resorts.
Yeah. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I didn't go skiing at all this year.
Do you ski, Jay?
I do. Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I ski on the bunny trail. It's a kid's learning trail. That's what I ski on. Hey, we got more coming up after the break. We got to get to the story. Hooksett, over in Hooksett, they are debating in the school system about having transgendered bathrooms right here in Hooksett. Can you believe that? And down at Harvard, there's a professor who's trying to put together a national rainbow pee-in. And this would bring attention to transgendered bathrooms. The rainbow pee-in. We'll explain what that is after the break. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next.
Hey, how are ya? It is a Thursday morning. Jared Goodell with you. Merle Haggard. Merle. You know Merle?
Didn't know him personally. I was a fan, though. I was a big fan.
Merle Haggard died yesterday, 79 years old. It was his birthday yesterday, actually. He had pneumonia. The interesting part of the story, his son posted on social media yesterday. He said, a week ago, Dad told us he was going to pass on his birthday, and he wasn't wrong. So I guess Merle last week had said, I'm going to die on my birthday. And he did. Which begs the question. I mean, when you're ready to die, I mean, can you make the decision to, all right, let go? I mean, do you think? I believe that. I believe that when you're, on your deathbed, that you, I think, do make the decision to let go. You don't believe that, though, Mr. Producer?
Well, it would depend upon the quality of life. I guess if you had nothing to live for and you're just kind of ready to go,
I don't know if it's about something to live for. Maybe it's more of a are you ready thing. Are you ready to go? Because when my grandmother was dying, I felt like she was hanging on. I mean, she just didn't want to die. Like she was afraid to die. So she was hanging on like too long. I don't ever want to be that guy. Some of these, these sick old people who, just live and they don't know who they are. They don't know where they are. They can't do anything for themselves. I don't want to be that person.
That's right.
You just don't. Merle Haggard, 79 years old.
They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down our country horse, you're walking on the fighting side of me.
He had an interesting life, Merle Haggard. I'm just reading this here. I guess he was raised in a converted railroad car. That's where he grew up. And then he was a criminal. He was a criminal for a while.
A lot of those guys were.
I guess
Johnny Cash, Willie.
Yeah, he, Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash were both at the San Quentin prison together, and they performed a show together.
Yeah, live from San Quentin.
Well, you're
Love
right,
that album.
Right. That's interesting stuff. What are some other songs? He had Working Man Blues.
That's a great one.
Mama Tried. The Fight Inside of Me.
Yeah, he's a big blue collar guy and wrote tunes that blue collar guys could really relate to.
I'm a blue collar guy.
Yeah.
What did he have? He made 90 albums. Had 112 songs on the country charts, including 71 top hits. Rest in peace, Merle Haggard.
We don't let our hair grow long and shaggy like the hippies out in San Francisco do. And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, a place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave Old Glory down at the courthouse.
10 seconds out.
And white lightning's still the biggest thrill of all.
And the board is clear.
Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next.
Everything that ends up leaving us dry. We need a voice, one voice that is amplified. Can you feel momentum shifting? Can you hear the sound? We were once someone missing, but we haven't found. It starts now.
An American college requiring its students to pay a fee. Where that fee goes. You'll love this, as if the cost of college wasn't high enough already. And a local school is considering a transgender bathroom policy. It's Thursday morning. This is the Jared Goodell Show. Fox was just playing. They were just playing some video of yesterday's Trump rally in New York. 10,000 people he had at one rally. 10,000 people. Compared to Ted Cruz's 100 people that he had at a restaurant yesterday in the Bronx. Ted Cruz was struggling to get 100 people. Donald Trump's got 10,000. Where's the media reporting on the end of his campaign, on the end of Cruz's campaign, like they're reporting on the end of Trump's campaign yesterday after he lost Wisconsin? Come on, media.
The media is so slanted, aren't they? It's fascinating.
Trump called out Cruz for not being able to get 100 people. He said he couldn't even get 100 people in the Bronx. And the Bronx, by the way, has 1.5 million people. What Trump didn't realize is that some of the people, in fact, it looks like from the video, a lot of those less than 100 people that were at the Cruz rally in the Bronx yesterday, they weren't all supporters. In fact, some of them were protesting and boycotting Ted Cruz. We got some of the audio.
Immigrant community, Ted Cruz. It's an immigrant community. It's an immigrant community. If you're anti-immigrant, you're not welcome here. We at the forefront of climate change, Ted Cruz. We're at the forefront of climate change here. People are dying. People are dying, Ted Cruz.
Who do you think the peaceful protesters voting for? You think he'll be voting for Bernie or Hillary?
I don't know.
He's not voting for Donald, I'll tell you that. He mentioned immigration and all that jazz.
It's an immigrant community, Ted Cruz. It's an immigrant community, Ted.
He was African-American, by the way, if that matters. Look, the media has taught me that you're supposed to say the color of the person's skin that you're reporting on, so that's the only reason why I bring that up. Anyways, Jared Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. I came across this story this morning, and I just was laughing because this is the country that we live in at this point. A private college in Arizona is charging students a fee. Any idea where this fee is going to? What is this fee going towards? Any ideas? Play the game show music. Cue it up. We need game show music. Private college in Arizona charging students a fee to fund a scholarship that will go towards what? Mr. Producer, what say you? Yes, here we go.
Jeez. Go towards music education.
That would be incorrect. I'm sorry. That would be wrong. All right. Private college in Arizona. I'll keep giving you some more hints here. The college is Prescott College in Arizona. It's adding a $30 annual fee onto its already $28,000 annual tuition. They're going to establish a new scholarship. The scholarship will be going towards what students?
Transgender students. No!
That was
Come on.
That was a good try.
I know.
Good try.
Jesus.
I think you have one more try.
No!
Here's a hint for you. If you'd like, we can do a phone a friend here to our friends at 98.9, the illegal radio station operating here in Manchester.
I want to phone a friend.
Would you like to phone?
I would like to phone the friend.
Well, I'm not sure their number because I don't speak Spanish. We're going to allow Mr. Producer to call the illegal, undocumented pirate radio station here in Manchester that is broadcasting Latino music. How ironic is that? The illegal radio station is broadcasting Latino music. Oh, the irony.
I don't know. The guy called yesterday, but I didn't write the number down, though, Jared.
Right, well, we can't call the radio station, and so I'll give you one more try here.
Well, give me a hint.
Mr. Producer, a private college in Arizona is charging its students a fee of $30 to establish a new annual scholarship for these students. Final try.
LGBT. Oh, come on.
No, it's for BLT students, actually. Bacon, lettuce, and tomato students. No, they're actually establishing a fund, a scholarship for undocumented students.
Oh.
Right. Illegal students.
Oh.
I thought we have a education tuition problem here in America right now, where kids can't afford college, and now we're adding a new fee on to these students, their tuition. I mean, $28,000 a year to go to Prescott College out in Arizona. Now they're going to have to pay $28,030. That $30 will establish a fund, a scholarship for undocumented students, so that these dreamers who are coming to our country illegally so that they too can have a chance at a good education. I wish I had a chance at a good education. You know why I didn't go to college? Because I couldn't afford it.
I know, me too.
My family couldn't afford it. The government said my parents made too much money. There was a couple scholarships that I could get that I was eligible for, but being a very pale white ginger, the list of scholarships available to me wasn't as long as the list of scholarships available to, let's say, an illegal immigrant.
Well, you were white privilege, Jared.
Right.
White privilege.
Right. I love this. The backers of the $30 annual fee, they say it will help reverse Arizona's reputation as a national example of discriminatory politics. They say that making legal residents, this is the Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. They say making legal residents enrolled at the school pay for illegal immigrants' education is a slap in the face to a generation already facing its post-college years saddled with enormous debt. Exactly.
I would agree.
I mean, you've got kids, people whom I went to school with, who graduated, they still don't have a job, or they don't have a job in the field that they went to college for, and they've got $150,000 in college debt. Ooh. They're paying $1,000 a month.
Ouch.
And we want to give illegal immigrants free college? Are you kidding me? Where do we draw the line here? There's student loan debt in this country right now is over $1 trillion. And we're going to give illegal immigrants free college. A lot of our debt right now is related to welfare, right? A lot of our $19 trillion in debt is because we've given away EBT cards and free food and housing vouchers and free Obama cell phones. That's why we have $19 trillion in debt already. Let's see if we can't get that debt up more on the backs of the American taxpayer. I love this. Arizona currently has 65,000 undocumented high school graduates in the state. 65,000 undocumented high school students. Let me rephrase that so that you can better understand what I just said. Arizona has 65,000 illegal immigrants who are attending high school right now in the state. How the hell does an illegal immigrant get into high school? I mean, isn't the high school isn't it a public taxpayer-funded school?
Yeah.
So how the hell is an illegal immigrant eligible to go to that school?
Huge part of my property taxes go to education.
I think I would probably say 50% of your property taxes, if not more, go to education.
I think it's over 50%.
So how do you feel about the cost of education in your community going up because there's more students? And the more students are the illegal immigrants. How do you feel about that?
Oh, Jay.
There's one other college in America. It's Chicago's Loyola University. They charge students $2.50 on top of their annual tuition to go towards an illegal immigrant scholarship. Yeah. I'm sure parents out there who are driving this morning who are paying for their child's college education right now are wishing that there was some sort of white privilege scholarship, right?
Right.
Can we set up let's set up a GoFundMe page.
I was just gonna say
it'll be the white privilege, it'll be the New Hampshire white privilege college scholarship, and we'll give it away here on the Jared Goodell Show. I think we should do that. Although, you know what? It's probably illegal to do that. It's probably illegal if we were to say you can only be white to get this scholarship. More illegal immigrant news for you. An illegal alien apparently hit a Texas firefighter head-on in a car accident. The illegal alien killed the driver, who was a volunteer firefighter in his hometown in Texas. Also killed his 4-year-old stepdaughter and his 22-month-old son, who was in the vehicle. The illegal immigrant did not have a driver's license.
I have Bob on the line. He knows you.
He was in the country illegally. He first came to the United States in 2006, but was deported in 2008. So what the hell is he doing back here in 2016, hitting our American citizens head on and killing this guy, this volunteer firefighter, and his kid, 2 kids? They say the man will be, if he recovers from his critical injuries, he will be charged with negligent homicide, criminally negligent homicide. You got to deport his ass, too, at the same time. He was already deported. He came back, though. Bob, you're on the Jared Goodell Show this morning. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Jared, got a quick question for you, and then I'll make a comment on the transgender bathrooms. Dennis Michael Lynch, have you caught up with him yet?
I have not.
Howie appears on his show on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And this guy, first of all, check out his bio. This guy is a genius. He was going to run for president this time around, but he passed it up. But he is the expert on immigration. In other words, he's done several documentaries.
Yeah.
And he's got all kinds of friends, down at the border down there. Like I say, this guy is really he's on Newsmax at 9:00 live on weeknights.
Right.
And he's going to do a special Friday night on the Bundys. He went out and visited the two Bundy. You ought to hear the story of these Bundy, how they're treating this one Bundy guy.
Yeah.
The younger one. I mean, he said it's like being in a internment camp. He says they're trying to beat him down, beat his will down. That's our federal government doing that. But going on to the transgender bathrooms, when are they going to start putting urinals in the ladies' rooms?
Well, give him. We need more funding for that, Bob.
That's right.
We need more funding for that.
Hey, I got a way to take care of it though. You get 10 or 12 guys, and you walk into the ladies' room, and you go to the wall where there's supposed to be urinals, and you just all let go at once and leave a big flood in there and walk out.
Hey, Bob, thanks for the call this morning. We're going to get to this story right after the break. The Hooksett School District is considering a policy that will allow for transgender kids in the school to use any bathroom they want. If you're a boy, you have a wee-wee, you get to go in the girls' bathroom. If you're a lady, if you're a girl, you get to go in the boys' bathroom. How exciting. What could go wrong? We'll talk about this after the break. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next.
producer worth his while would have paid attention when I said that we're going to talk about the transgender bathrooms at a local school, and you would have played, I don't know, a bed like, cut your bed, get rid of your bed, enough. You would have played, if you, Mr. Producer, were worth your while, you would have come in with this. Yeah.
Lady.
Yeah, dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady.
Enough. And then I would say, Jerry Goodell with you on a Thursday morning. The Hooksett School District is insane. That's how it would have gone.
Right. That's producer shaming. It's a microaggression, Jared.
The Hooksett School District is addressing restroom and locker room accessibility.
Of course they are.
And other needs of transgender and non-conforming students. Gender non-conforming students. Essentially what they're wanting to do here is to allow boys to use the girls' bathroom and girls to use the boys' bathroom. What could go wrong?
That's a free-for-all.
What could go wrong? I love this. And this is, if you're a parent out there or a grandparent, if there's any kids in your family, pay attention to this. This policy was not drawn up by the Hooksett School District, but instead was drawn up at the recommendation of the New Hampshire School Boards Association. So the New Hampshire School Boards Association is helping local schools out and local school districts out writing policy to allow boys to use the girls' bathroom and vice versa. One of the board members in Hooksett, they had a hearing on Tuesday night. One of the board members said, we want to be proactive regarding this matter. Want to be proactive. Wonder when they're going to start being proactive on, boys touching girls and girls touching boys in the schools. They get proactive on that. Because I can tell you what was the case that you sent me? You sent me a story this morning about a guy who, claimed to be transgender, who went into a woman's bathroom and
just started filming.
He started filming the ladies. He was transgender. He wanted to get video to find out if his parts looked like their parts.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, what did they think was going to happen? I mean, people push the envelope. They push the laws. Just creeps.
The policy in Hooksett would apply to students who may use different gender definitions to describe themselves. They say gender identity is defined as a person's deeply held sense or psychological knowledge of their own gender, regardless of the gender they were assigned at birth. The policy defines transgender as someone whose gender identity is different from their assigned gender at birth. So if they believe they're a boy, they're a boy. If they believe they're a girl, they're a girl. If they believe they're a spaghetti monster, they're a spaghetti monster. Superintendent Charles Littlefield in Hooksett says students who feel uncomfortable that a transgendered student is using the restrooms would have the right to ask to use a private restroom. How about you just give the trans kids the private restroom? Why do you have to inconvenience the mass? I mean, the superintendent is literally saying, well, if a student is uncomfortable with if a girl is uncomfortable with a boy being in the girl's bathroom, then she can go use a private bathroom. Is it just me, or is this insane? But I might be wrong on this. Look, I don't care if you're a guy, if you have a penis and you believe you're a woman, fine, no problem with that. Do what you will. Do what you want. If you're a woman, you have a vagina, and you think you have a penis, great. Happy for you. If you're a guy and you're going up to have implants put in, you're going to waste $7,000 on that, great. Go ahead. Go ahead. But when the issue starts hitting our schools, where boys are going to be in the girls' locker room and vice versa, I think it's dangerous. I think it's incredibly dangerous. I mean, think about when you were 14 years old, when your hormones were raging, when everybody at school was talking about sex and sharing stories of what have you done? What have you done? Oh, how did you do that? Who'd you do that with? Or so-and-so, she's a real hoe over there. She'll do anything. When hormones are raging and boys are allowed to go in the girls' room and vice versa, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Parents in Hooksett, be prepared for this. Because it's going to, the school board is on board with this. They're going to pass this. Dover and Portsmouth already do this, right? And Oyster River School District, they already do this. They allow boys to use the girls' room and girls to use the boys. And they don't. The policy states that they don't have to be like. They don't have to be completely transitioned. They just have to say that I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body. That's all. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's an age issue. I think things are confusing enough when
Yeah.
you're younger like that. But at the high school or collegiate level, hey, you got a bathroom. It's all for it. But at the elementary level and things, I don't agree with it.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, I think it puts a different spin on it, I think.
It's very dangerous. What do we got here?
This Christmas, witness the spectacle, the incredible lights, and show-stopping energy of an all-new holiday tradition.
It's a dancing show.
Jazz Bono stars in Transgender Orchestra, starring RuPaul, Lady Gaga, and lots of other celebrities you're not quite sure about. It's Transgender Orchestra, featuring favorite Christmas songs like
20
you've
seconds.
never heard them before, like Little Drummer Girl, Deck the
15 seconds.
This is good stuff.
Frosty the Snow
Chaz Bono,
Person,
what bathroom do you think he uses? Is it he or is it he or she now? It's a
don't
he.
know.
She became a he, right?
And the board is clear.
The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next. Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370wfea.com. Want more Jared? Listen on demand at 1370wfea.com. Stick around. More Jared is next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next.
One, two, three, four.
I just got a message. I guess the Candia School Board is going to be discussing the transgender bathroom issue tonight. It's happening at 6 o'clock at the Moore Elementary School in Candia, 12 Deerfield Road. All these schools, they're moving towards opening up the bathrooms to whomever and whatever. Interesting stuff. Hey, there's an interesting case that this broke yesterday. Owen Labrie, does that name sound familiar? Owen Labrie is the kid from St. Paul's who was engaged in what they call it, the senior salute. Senior salute was at St. Paul's, is where, as a senior, your goal before you graduate is to try to sleep with as many girls at the school as you can. And I guess on graduation day, you compare tally marks with your fellow male seniors, and whoever has the most tally marks, you win. It's called the Senior Salute. It happens at St. Paul's School, the prestigious St. Paul's School. Well, that all came crashing down. Owen Labrie was 18 years old at the time. He was a senior, and he had sexual relations with a 15-year-old student, and she said that he molested her, or that, she's underage, and he was 18, and her parents weren't happy about it. So he was on trial for aggravated felonious sexual assault and a slew of other charges. He was not convicted. He was acquitted of the aggravated felonious sexual assault charges. However, he was convicted of prohibited use of a computer, of felony sexual assault, endangering the welfare of a child, which are misdemeanors. And he got a 1-year suspended jail sentence. 1 year suspended jail sentence, and he had probation. Well, he violated his probation a couple weeks ago, and a judge sent him to jail. Said, look, we gave you this chance. You're going to go serve your year in jail. So Owen Labrie has been in jail for a couple of weeks now. And apparently he doesn't like it. Owen Labrie now is asking for a retrial. He's asking for a new trial because he says that his lawyers, his counsel was ineffective. So he's asking for a retrial. Owen Labrie, his parents are very wealthy. He was at the prestigious private school. He had the best attorney, one of the best attorneys, I think, in the country, or one of the best known, J.W. Carney, who you may remember represented Whitey Bulger. But hey, when you have money, you try everything. So Owen Labrie now is arguing that J.W. Carney didn't do a good job on his case. How often does this happen? What does this mean? Did J.W. Carney miss things? We're bringing in our legal expert we have on quite often here on the Jared Goodell Show, Rusty Chadwick, attorney Rusty Chadwick, the former first assistant to the Hillsborough County attorney, now in private practice at his own law firm, Chadwick, Furcano, and Weber. Rusty Chadwick, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I can't believe how many times I get to come on this show and talk about sexual activity with you, Jerry.
and Owen Labrie, I mean, we've had you on many times to talk about this case. So Owen Labrie, I just told you the story. Everyone is now familiar with it again. So now he's saying that his counsel, his lawyers were ineffective. He's asking for a new trial.
Well, that's what you do, right? There's a great graph I was given the first day of law school, which shows, the moment your client is arrested, they desperately need an attorney. The day you win that trial, you are the greatest thing going. And about a week later, they don't know why they need an attorney in the first place. And so it's never my fault. It's always someone else's. That's how I operate on a daily basis. So it's not unusual to see an ineffective claim, especially once someone's sentenced to jail.
So this is a common thing, and the reason why we're hearing about it is because this was a big case. But you're saying, Rusty Chadwick, that this is a pretty common motion that is made after someone is sentenced.
It's not unusual at all, absolutely, for one reason or another.
Have you heard? Rusty Chadwick, why or what issues specifically that Owen Labrie is taking issue with J.W. Carney? I mean, have they said how J.W. Carney was ineffective?
Yeah, I haven't read the motion that Jay Rancourt filed, but it looks like they're focused on the conviction itself. He was convicted of what we would commonly call computer solicitation, so using a computer to solicit a minor. It's called computer services prohibited. And the claim is that charge was not focused on by defense counsel, that there was not an argument made to the jury about that charge at all. In other words, it was just ignored. And that's an issue. If that's exactly what happened, that is certainly an issue of a potential ineffective claim. It's as hard as they are to make that happen and overturn something. So we'll have to see exactly why that strategy was pursued, if it was pursued.
Now, the judge can deny this motion and it just won't move forward, right? I mean, he's gonna weigh whether or not Owen Labrie has a case here, and if he doesn't, Owen Labrie will just have to go back to jail. But, I mean, what's next in the appeal line? If the judge denies this motion, what's the next appeal that Owen Labrie will be filing?
Well, there's an appeal to the Supreme Court that is taken when you make an ineffective claim. It actually puts your regular appeal, your normal appeal to the Supreme Court, and I mean the New Hampshire Supreme Court, on hold while the ineffective claim is litigated in state court. And then if state court denies it, you can then pick up your appeal on the conviction itself, as well as ask the Supreme Court to review the ineffective claim. So you have a couple of go ahead.
How much money do you think the Labrie family has spent on attorneys? I mean, J.W. Carney is. I mean, he represented Whitey Bulger. I'm sure that his hourly rate is not cheap.
Well, they haven't spent enough money because they haven't hired me yet. So I'm sure there's money to be had. But I think everybody has their own bills. I'm always amazed. We charge. We're not the most expensive, but we're not the cheapest lawyers around. It depends on the case. Depends where you come in. Sometimes in certain cases, people do an hourly rate. Most of it is done by a flat fee. So I know a lot of the Massachusetts lawyers, which J.W. Carney is, charge an hourly rate, and they work off a retainer. But I am sure it is, potentially approaching three figures at this point. But again, I don't know.
Really? Interesting
stuff.
Well,
one never knows. I mean, because you also have the issue, his counsel now was local counsel, because I don't believe Attorney Carney had his New Hampshire license. And that's always one of the issues. I have my Mass license. I don't practice in Massachusetts. I like New Hampshire. I'm busy enough up here. And, how you approach a New Hampshire jury is different than how you approach a Massachusetts jury. I'm sure that's going to be one of the issues.
So you're saying that J.W. Carney, because he was from Massachusetts, that they could argue that he didn't understand how to approach the jury here in New Hampshire, or what the mindset of a New Hampshire jury is?
That's not a winning argument, but I think that will be implied, or that may be the approach. I think the biggest argument is if your client's charged with something and you don't address that charge in any way, because that statute was designed to catch adult men who are online trolling for available, I'm using that term very loosely, women, girls under the age of, 18, under the age of 16. I ran an internet solicitation task force. We made 50, 60 arrests in a very short amount of time for people doing that. It's not really designed for the type of situation that Owen Labrie was facing.
Wouldn't it just be easier for Owen Labrie to just remain in jail and, let his name out of the media? I mean, all these appeals that he's filing, the media, we're talking about him, and we're bringing his name back up with sexual assault charges attached to it. Wouldn't it be easier? I mean, it's a year in jail. It's not a long time.
Well, first of all, he was not convicted on the sexual assaults. That's a huge win. I'm sure that was the focus of trial because that's the big one. The computer services carries a registration requirement. So it's not just the 12 months he serves, it's the rest of his life that the registration will mess up, when the reality is the conviction is not for any sort of sexual activity. I put aside what the public may believe. That's the charge itself carries that type of whack, that type of penalty. So that's pretty significant, and I would certainly fight it because I doubt as a prosecutor I would have brought that charge because it's not the manner in which it was intended to be used.
Interesting stuff. Owen Labrie asking for a retrial. If you're a betting man, Rusty Chadwick, does the judge grant this motion, allow a retrial, or not?
I'd have to read the pleadings based on what they're saying. There's a significant issue. As hard as it is, I always bet against an ineffective claim. That's the standard house bet. But this one may be interesting. I'm curious to learn more. They may have some traction here.
Attorney Rusty Chadwick, the former first assistant to the Hillsborough County Attorney, now in private practice at his law firm in Nashua, Chadwick, Furcano, and Weber. You can just Google them, Chadwick, Furcano, and Weber, and you'll find them. That's Furcano with the C, all right? Chadwick, Furcano, and Weber. Rusty Chadwick, always good to chat with you, sir.
All right, behave yourself the rest of the day. If you don't, give me a call.
I know, Rusty Chadwick, he's going to be my attorney if I ever get into trouble. Well, Mr. Producer, you've got his phone number. So
I got him on speed dial,
if
Jay.
anything ever happens, I'm
the guy who's got to worry.
Call my lawyer. You know who to call, all right? Rusty Chadwick, great guy, very knowledgeable. Yeah, interesting stuff. If I were Owen Labrie, I would try to keep my name out of the media at this point as much as I could. You know what I mean? I don't know that he really needs to get a job in the future. So the sexual sex offender registry, his parents are wealthy. Does he really need to ever work in his life? And when you're wealthy and when you have connections like his parents do, does being on the sex offender registry, does that even matter? I don't know. When you're dating someone, how do you explain to them that you're on the sex offender registry?
Oh, jeez.
Well, this happened.
that little thing.
That's why, and, interesting stuff. Hey, we'll take a quick break, wrap up the show, and we come back. Some interesting gun news making headlines this morning. A teacher down in Newtown, Connecticut, arrested for having a gun. We'll get to that. Chuck Schumer wants to get rid of that folding smartphone gun before it even comes out. He wants to ban it. The great Chuck Schumer. We'll talk about that after the break. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Jared is next. in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com. Jared? Listen on demand at 1370WFEA.com. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. The Jared Goodell Show continues next. More Jared is next. Stick around. More Jared is next.
I'm thinking about taking tomorrow off. You know, it's Friday. I think I might have Arnie Arneson come in and host the show. What do you think about that?
There you go.
I'm kidding, okay? I'll be here tomorrow. God willing. There'll be no Arnie Arneson tomorrow. Well, I mean, maybe. We might have her on at some point. I don't know. I've been writing down like the numbers of when we have Arnie on before and after, like the streaming numbers, because we can see how many people are listening on the stream online. So I've been writing that down, and you know, whenever we have Arnie on, we lose like 30% of the audience. So I'm gonna bring that to management and say, I mean, can we get rid of Arnie? Look, I'm trying, people. Look, I don't want you to think that I'm not trying. I really am. I mentioned earlier that Hillary Clinton said that Bernie Sanders should apologize to the Newtown, Connecticut parents who lost their kids during the shooting there a couple of years back. Because Hillary says that Bernie's too easy on guns. You know, he's too pro Second Amendment. So Hillary's saying, well, you know, Bernie should really apologize to the victims, the families of the victims in Newtown for having such lax policies on guns. And Bernie Sanders' response was, Hillary should apologize to the families of the soldiers who died in Iraq and Afghanistan. She should. He didn't say this, but he should have said that she should apologize to the families of the loved ones who were killed in Benghazi. Hillary. She's so scared. She's trying everything. She's trying everything to get rid of Bernie Sanders. Good luck, honey. Good luck. Speaking of Newtown, Connecticut, Sandy Hook, a teacher was arrested down in Newtown yesterday for bringing a gun to the town's middle school. 46-year-old Jason Adams. He has a valid pistol permit.
Was legally permitted, that's right.
He has a legal gun, but in Connecticut, which is such a pro-Second Amendment state, you cannot possess a firearm on school grounds regardless of your pistol permit. So he was arrested. He was arrested for that.
What could possibly go wrong?
I think it's great. I think teachers with guns in school is a great idea.
I think, yes. I think every classroom should have a collapsible stock Mossberg shotgun in a glass case in the corner. I think gun safety ought to be taught in schools 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade with mandatory range time. That's just me. Just saying.
I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm not with you on voting for Bernie Sanders, but I'm with you on that. Chuck Schumer's in the news regarding guns, too.
Oh,
you remember we were talking about the cell phone gun, the gun that it looks like a cell phone, but it folds. Yeah. It folds out and becomes a gun. Chuck Schumer says that this is a disaster waiting to happen. He claims that the guns manufacturer could violate federal laws because there's a federal law that says that a gun cannot appear like an everyday item.
Really?
Yeah. It's the cell phone gun. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, it really looks like a cell phone gun. It's a 2-shot, .380 caliber pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to sell for $395. I guess the creator of this, the inventor, says that there's already like 4,000 pre-orders for it. There'll be a lot of these around.
And Christmas is coming, Jared.
Well, I'm going to get you one for Christmas,
yes.
Mr. Producer.
Yes.
Maybe I can get a 2-for-1 deal. I can get one for the president of the Jared Goodell Show Quack Pack, who I believe lives in Connecticut, according to his phone number anyways. Ferris is standing by. Ferris, the president of the Quack Pack, who just calls and waits on hold for hours upon hours. We made him president of the Quack Pack because he certainly is one of the quackiest callers that we have on the Jared Goodell Show. Did he just hang up? I think is he there?
Jared.
Yeah. How are you, Ferris?
Well, what a day to stop at the top of the Ferris wheel and look at this Newtown story. And it's right up there with this transsexual story. I noticed you're using the language of the left. Instead of using the word sex, you use the word gender. Keep in mind that people don't have gender, they have sex. Words have gender: masculine, feminine, and neuter. Those are the 3 genders, Jared. You see, it's transsexual. It's not transgender. It's same-sex marriage. It's not same-gender marriage. So they beat you with the words. We lost our city, state, and nation through the languaging of the left, through such people as Mary Bonato, who single-handedly engineered queer marriage in our country. Did you ever go to queermarriage.com?
I did not.
Well, you should
blocked.
Go to queermarriage.com and see what came out of Mary Bonato's PAC, starting with Massachusetts, of course. But the Newtown story is compelling because it shines the light on Newtown, which is and always has been in recent history the seat of devil worship in the world. And that's why the true story of Newtown is something that your listeners should know about. So they should go to youtube.com and type in the 4 words, the Sandy Hook shooting. Watch the 30-minute video. Watch the shooter, who's a United Nations soldier, run out of the building, become apprehended in the woods, and released by the authorities. Excuse me?
Ferris, you really believe that the Newtown shooting was... I mean, come on. You think that it was set up?
I will not waste your time with what I think. I will only take your time with what I know. And if you... Let me repeat what I said. If you look at the 30-minute YouTube video that comes up when you go to youtube.com and put in the 4 words, the Sandy Hook shooting, you will see that shooter run out of that school. You will also see the crisis actors who played the grieving parents. They laugh, and then they say the camera's on, and then they start crying.
All right, cut him off. Cut him off.
Cut me off.
Ferris, no. I mean, you're really sounding like a quack this morning. I mean, come on. Kids lost their lives in Newtown. It wasn't some government setup. It was some crazy Adam Lanza guy. Ferris. I think we have to have a 1-day suspension of Ferris for those comments. Maybe. We'll consider that. Podcast will be up on the website, 1370WFEA.com. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning. It's Friday tomorrow. I'm Jared Goodell, WFEA. Good morning.
Get Jared in the car on FM 99.9 and AM 1370. Or get him online at 1370WFEA.com.